Managing your time by your values and visions. What are you talking about there, Paul?
Well, what we usually start out with, and people want to get to the really, really practical time management strategies, like how to use it at work, but I like to say, whoa, time out. We need to start at the core of you. Your values are your core, your DNA. They're the things that you need to be managing your life by. Stephen Covey, love that guy. Rest his soul. You know, he's not alive anymore, but he wrote a lot of books about time management. And so he talks about putting the big rocks into your schedule first. The big rocks are the values that you need to have in your life. Instead, we often push those to the side and we do the tyranny of the urgent, the stuff that's right in front of us, or the easy stuff that we can just check off our schedule every day, because we get some endorphins when we cross stuff off, you know. So if we cross off a bunch of little things, that makes us feel really good. But then at the end of the day, we go, oh, we didn't take care of the big stuff. Like my kids, I didn't throw the football around with them, you know, or I didn't give my wife any time today, or man, the stuff that's going to make me more money, I didn't do any of those things, and another day goes by. So I try to help clients connect with their values first, the things that mean the most to them, because when they live life according to their values, they have more satisfaction in life. They get more done in life. They last at their positions longer. They're living in well, they're not living in dissonance. Dissonance is that musical term like and then you know, just underneath it, everybody's like, oh, I can't stand that sound. That's how we live when we don't live in accordance with our values. We live just like a little bit off.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and it's interesting that you being a teacher, I'll say an ex-teacher, a recovering teacher, some of my friends would say, the technique that a lot of teachers use to teach kids how to make sure they get a decent grade on a test, which is answer all the easy questions first and then go to the hard questions, gets so ingrained in people that when they come out into the real world, into the business or the job world, and they use that same approach, what they don't realize is that and correct me if I'm wrong here, what they don't realize is that on a test, you have a predefined number of questions, and you know that, okay, it's this time, this questions, nobody's going to add more in, and there's not going to be like more and more and more, just keep getting added in. So a method like taking care of the easy stuff first and then moving into the hard stuff works very well on a very time-bound, limited thing where you've only got an hour to do something, and getting the most done, not the right things, but the most things done gets you more points. Versus in the real world where everybody's going to keep adding stuff to you every day. So that philosophy of always taking care of the easy stuff kind of weighs you down after a while. Am I getting it right there?
Yeah, yeah, and we overestimate what we can do in a day, but then we let all these other things come in. At least with the test, you know, you got the paper in front of you, you got the teacher with the timer holding it over you, and you know how many points are on that. But life is so much more messy.
Yeah, exactly. Now, when you say your values and your vision, every time we have a guest on that talks about values, I love to talk about this a little bit because there's values in my world. There's values and then there's core values. There's values that you can kind of negotiate where if you have to play in a gray area, you're not afraid of not afraid of going to hell for it, and you're not compromising something that's core to your being. Then there's core values that you don't compromise whatsoever. When it comes to what's your perspective on values?
Yeah, I'm really talking about those core values that you just mentioned. Those 3 to 5 that are just so you. They're boy, you couldn't be in a relationship if they didn't share those values with you. You couldn't be at a job if they didn't share those values, because after a while you would realize we're going 180 degrees different from each other. I got to get out. I'm starting to gnash my teeth, or I'm going to the chiropractor, or I'm just always in conflict. I just can't handle that, because when your core values get poked, you really do get angry and irritated. So that's when you really know that you have a core value that's getting messed with, is when you just start getting really restless and irritated.
And how do those core values then align with your vision?
Well, so let's say you want to have, the vision might be that you want to have a great marriage, for instance. So we'll just use a personal example here. And so you say family is one of your top core values. your vision is you want to have a very fulfilling marriage, a lot of intimacy and time together, and you want to be on the same page, you want to do stuff together. And so with time management, if you keep throwing your spouse to the back burner and you just keep working, and you keep popping open your laptop at night and keep working, and you keep answering your phone and you keep working, after a while you're definitely not going to get to that vision because you haven't carved out some undisturbed time, some focused time for your spouse. So that's sort of how it plays out.
Yeah, I've got a friend who he and his spouse schedule appointments together to make sure they have time. And
Yeah.
I admit, and he knows this, I chuckled when I first heard it because it's kind of a foreign concept. Because we were on the phone one day and he said, "Wait a minute, I've got to schedule time with my wife." And I went, "What?" And then you come to find out that they're both very busy, very successful, and they
Yeah.
value their marriage. So what they've done is they've said, "Look, we're going to make sure that we schedule time to get together." And it's
Yeah.
interesting you bring up marriage real quick because if you are in a marriage that's a core value, can you see where core values would change depending on the situation you're in? Like, in other words, if you get divorced and you're in a different period in your life, could you see a core value taking a back seat and maybe not being a core value at that point if you're single and having a different set of core values? Or do you think core values just stay constant regardless of the situation you're in?
Yeah, that's interesting because, well, the core value is family. It's not necessarily marriage. So I guess I didn't have to wrestle with that because when I went through the divorce, I poured my family energy into my children,
There you go.
and communicated with more extended family and developed more of a church family. And so family still was still that core value. It never did shift.
Epic. And I think that's really key for a lot of people to understand is the fact that a big time core value probably won't shift. You'll just find a different place to put your energy in. Because would you agree, Paul, that those core values are something that should fill you up, boost you up, give you energy, help make your life better? But that if you adhere to those core values, they're what gives you energy and makes your life better.
Absolutely. And back to your last point of scheduling. So I'm a little OCD when it comes to time management. So I'm writing a book on it now, and that's the most requested talk that I have. So not everybody's going to be like me on this stuff, but I will block out date night, with my wife every Friday night, and so it's actually on the calendar. But just to play it a different way, let's say you want to be a great boss and you want to develop more of a culture of family with your employees. So then you would calendar, write thank you notes to employees or write positive message to employees and actually stick it in your calendar. I mean, we'll get to this in a few minutes, but
Yeah.
that's how it plays out. Is the vision is I want my workplace to feel like a family. So how do I manage time? I got to block it out with some tasks that actually get me there.
Yeah, and like you said, we're going to talk about that probably about 5-10 minutes. So people, you definitely want to stick around if you want to hear more about this blocking the tasks thing out. For now, I think that's a great segue to get into our next piece, which is what to do every night.
To watch the rest of this epic episode now, click on the link below the video. Do it now, you'll be glad you did. Are you still here? What are you waiting for? Watch the rest of this epic episode now by clicking on the link below the video.